In this episode, we're talking about the resurgence of zines,
a trippy, multi-part narrative video series,
the idea of a pop-up newsletter,
and much more. This is Gems of the Internet.
I'm scrolling the other day and I see a new video from these guys, Ben and Caleb. Caleb Shaw, who you might know, and then Ben goes by Frantic Frames on Instagram and everywhere. He is incredible. I actually learned about him from the Digital Spaghetti episode that you guys did with
the
Ben.
shot by shot?
Yes.
Sick. Okay.
He's so talented. He's really good at animating stop motion. He does this amazing sort of multi-plane technique that's like an old style animation thing. I met both Ben and Caleb at the Camp Film Festival.
Cool.
We talked about the Camp Film Festival in our last episode, so I thought for this one it would be kind of nice to visit a video that both these guys made
collab.
It was like a collab that they did as they were leaving the festival. So
road trip.
I guess Ben, he lives in Colorado. He drove from Colorado to Austin, Texas just for the film festival. And then Caleb, who lives in Austin, I think he was just sort of like, I'll come back with you. And I'm assuming he probably flew back or whatever. But they drove back together. They made this sweet little video that to me embodies the kind of feeling that I wanted everyone at the festival to feel leaving the festival. It's like the energy that was in the air, like the electricity.
They captured it.
They captured it. Yeah. And it like inspired them to make something. And it's not the most like mind-blowing video. Like there's nothing like really visually that stunning. There isn't any stop motion in it. It just has Ben and Caleb in it.
That's so interesting because they're both so like they had their techniques that they use are so like high level.
Right.
But this is just stripped down.
It's stripped down. It still has like a layer of gloss to it. Like there's some nice color grading. You can tell they use a good camera. But it's basically this sort of like monologue of Ben, and he's like talking about how he like needs to live in the moment more.
A lot of times I'm so focused on the future that I'm like losing the present constantly. So I have to think about being present, and then I can hold that moment.
But I think just after the festival in general, it's like feeling that need to be like, you know what, like that felt so good to get out of the internet and be with real people. Like I need to like stop thinking about the future. I need to like live in the moment. And the video, it's a short video. It's just like a quick little thing. But I just like felt like it's like capturing the essence of the festival. And it really like resonated with me. I like watched it a few times. The big takeaway from that video is that like art should be valued for being art. You don't need to be making stuff that's just for the internet, for clicks, for views. Like it can be for the internet, but it can still be art. And I love that. And both those guys are true artists.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it.
I'm going to send it to you. You're going to watch everything that
we're
talking about.
So what I am bringing in is the Creator Mag first issue.
Like a magazine, like a real...
It's analog and digital.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's making this thing?
So it's run by Creator Mag, which is Nate Graber-Liberman, Moy Zhang, and Shua Bangwen. So it's interesting because they're all kind of coming from different parts of the creator economy. I worked with Nate at Colin and Samir. He was one of the writers for the Published Press.
Cool.
Moy did their illustrations, and Shua is Shua Films on YouTube. So they're all coming together as this superstar team to publish these interviews.
So they're making a real life magazine that you can also get digitally.
Yeah. But specifically, I wanted to shout out their collab with Jesse Nyberg, who just launched his own Questa studio. He is a graphic designer and content creator, so that's him leaning into more of the graphic design aspect of his work.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are his videos about graphic design?
Yes.
They are. Okay. So does he do like process videos or?
He kind of... Yeah, he does do process videos. He talks about like a day in the life of a designer in LA.
I've been a full-time freelance graphic designer for over 5 years now. And over those past few years, I've learned a few methods that have greatly improved my creativity and success as a designer.
I really like his style because it's very like DIY and punk. And a big part of it is like bringing art to the masses and like zine culture, which I'm super into. But I also like the messaging, like just keep it moving, keep going, keep doing your own creative thing.
Yeah, it's a great. I love like a good just sort of like slogan. Would you call it a slogan? Like
I think so. Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Motto.
I feel like in 2025 there have been a lot of zines coming up, like people making zines. Why do you think that is? Well, why are we seeing so many zines?
I think people will always love handmade stuff because it's really human, especially like with the conversation around AI. People are definitely like leaning more towards authenticity is definitely a buzzword, but I think part of that is just like something you can touch and feel yourself and something that you can also participate in. What's cool about zine culture is like you can make your own zine at home. Just with a little piece of paper.
Have you made a zine?
I actually have not.
Okay.
And now I feel like I need to.
That would be fun.
I've read tutorials on how to make one. I've been like, that's cool.
it.
And then just not. Yeah, done it.
I feel like zines are just, it's like the antithesis of your phone, but it sort of gives you a similar feeling of what's on your phone. It's just in a more curated, tangible package. And that is something I really would love to see become even more popular. I think for whatever reason, there's been a lot
of... The 90s are back.
Yeah,
apparently zines were huge in the 90s.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is the magazine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a serious, like, full-size magazine. That's, like, more than a zine, I would say, but, like,
so they came out with the magazine, and then they also have a bumper sticker, which matches the shirt.
Cool.
And a CD, which I don't have any way of listening to, except they also put a QR code for the Spotify playlist.
Very cool.
And this is what I want to talk about. What's cool about this, my biggest takeaway, is that it kind of adds to their mission of making the internet feel smaller.
Oh, it literally
and
says
so
that.
having these like physical merch drops and kind of like if I see someone else on the street wearing the same shirt, I immediately can go up and talk to them about the creator economy because this is super niche.
I'm having FOMO looking at all this. I'm like, I wish I discovered this. Wow.
Well, you're welcome.
The CD, is that real?
Keep it moving.
But did they, they probably.
It's real.
They like wrote on here. Because it's almost like that could be an aesthetic where this is just like a generic CD and then like this is like all printed to make it look like it. But no, this is real Sharpie that someone actually wrote on here. We should
really
play this in my car. My car has a CD player.
Okay, good. I marked the point in the editor's letter where Nate talked about making the internet feel smaller by building a creative neighborhood. I'm obsessed with that metaphor because it works both online and in real life.
A creative neighborhood.
Yeah, because he has this online magazine as well as in-person events in Chicago.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My next gem is a short form video series posted by William Banks on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, all the short platforms. I actually met the creator. He was like a friend of a friend, and he was just like at my friend's house whenever they were to hang out.
Serendipity.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I didn't really know anything about this guy, and he really looks like a character. He's a comedian. He kind of is a part of this like, I don't know if I should say new wave, but there's just sort of like, there's a crew of people in New York that are like doing stand-up and doing interesting things on the internet, sort of in the realm of like Subway takes, like the Boy Room.
Is it like Veronica is Cool kind of adjacent?
I don't know. Veronica is Cool. So
bonus
maybe
gem? She's hilarious.
Should I look up Veronica's? Yeah. But basically, I think that what he's doing is so interesting because he's kind of taking the short form like medium and twisting it a little bit. He made a series that feels like a feature film, but he released it as shorts.
Is each one like kind of a scene?
Yes. So and he did it all in one day. He filmed the entire thing in one day in 5 hours.
Whoa.
But then he released them all over time. And he was really strategic in how he wrote and shot everything so that he would like have things coming out in the calendar and it would feel like you were witnessing it live.
Whoa.
The whole thing he was doing was that his character finds an old like flip phone in prison and he starts filming videos of himself in prison, and he used an old Android phone that has like not so good like camera quality.
So
it's
you're
like,
in it. Like...
but that alone really like captures it, like because you see this on TikTok, it shows up and you're like, is this guy actually in prison?
Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a video giving everybody an update of the things that have been going on in my life. I know a lot of people were concerned about me going to jail, so...
Like, and a lot of people, he said, believed it. Like they didn't know that it was like a bit, like an act. And it really looks real. Like he's wearing like the prison like jumpsuit. He's got his friends acting, and it was all basically improvised. They kind of had like a storyline that went through like.
Oh, that's so interesting. So he didn't actually write all the dialogue out?
Right. There was nothing like truly like scripted except for like the arc of it all. Whoa. And eventually he like escapes from prison, and then like what happens when he gets out of prison, like you see that, and then like there's some things that he does that are real, but because it's in this sort of world, you don't know if it's actually real or not. Like,
that's crazy. Oh my gosh.
It's really, really interesting. And to me, like, it feels like this is a whole different way to create like videos for the internet in the shorts, like vertical video kind of space. Like it's got a narrative thing, but then like posting it over like a period of time really makes people feel like it's real. Like there's one where he like saved this one to post on Christmas, and like in the thing he's trying to get like one of the guys who was like beating him up in prison to like him again. Then he's like, I'm gonna give him a Christmas gift, but it's like he filmed all of it in one day, so it wasn't like that was all which is like so interesting and cool and different, and I hadn't really seen anything like that. It does like feel real, but it's not. And it reminded me a lot of like David Lynch, like Inland Empire kind of vibe, where you're like, it's so low fidelity, like the camera is so low fidelity that you're like, what is this? Is this a dream? Like,
it almost reminds me of Blair Witch Project. Not that I will ever see that, but the whole point was, people were thinking it was really found footage.
That's a perfect example of what his thing feels like. And I'm inspired from a perspective of just like, how can you twist the traditional kind of look and feel of shorts online?
Reminds me of Vine, but that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah, using short form in a new way, for sure.
Yeah.
So I came across a crazy TikTok by this user called Rachel's Room.
Okay.
It's hard to describe in words, but she's filming herself in her bedroom. I don't know how she did it. It's one of the rare times on TikTok where I'm like, how did she film this and how did she do the VFX?
Reincarnated. I was stargazing. Life goes on.
The camera is moving almost like in Kendrick Lamar's music video for Humble, I think.
Sure.
It's like moving in crazy ways.
Very
and then
cool.
she is like eating noodles that are hanging, but everything around her is frozen. There's so many layers of VFX. You just have to see it.
Whenever I find something like that where I'm like, I don't know how that's done, I like it eats away at me, because I'm like,
you gotta do some digging.
Did you do behind the scenes? Like, which I also think behind the scenes videos are a little underrated in that anything you make, you can make a behind the scenes video for that thing, and now you have 2 videos to post, which is kind of cool. Did you find a behind the scenes for this? Do we know?
I didn't find it behind the scenes, but I also didn't look very hard. So now I'm curious as well.
So maybe there's one that exists, but maybe it'll forever be a mystery.
My biggest takeaway from that is that people are always doing crazy new things with short form, and like, don't underestimate TikTok. I keep telling people, they think it's just, whatever, sitting on the toilet watching TikTok. There's like real art being made, and this is like movie level VFX.
I love how we're watching it evolve. Like, there's always something new, and it feels like even like 6 months ago, there was like a fully different vibe of what was like popular on short form. So my final gem of the week is a big one. This video really blew my mind. It's a YouTube video that's titled "Why Pantone Colors Are So Expensive." It's a 22-minute long video.
Okay.
Is posted by Business Insider.
Okay.
The video right now has almost 3 million views.
Whoa.
And it's basically it's a little documentary that goes super deep into Pantone, which is, if you don't know, a company that literally sells colors. But what I didn't know is that they don't actually sell ink or paint or anything.
Weird. Okay. I thought they sold paint.
Right. They only sell the numbers that correspond to the colors of paint.
They're only in the business of hex codes?
Exactly.
Whoa.
And I don't know if it's called hex code or maybe, but like, they're only in the business of selling the language of colors, because early on in like the days of printing and things, if you were like designing a cereal box and you were like, I like this color yellow, I want it in my box, there was really no way to be like, this is the color. And
light yellow, dark yellow. Yeah.
And they talk about that in this documentary. Like there's an example where Kodak, whose color was yellow, they were making like packages of film, and there was discrepancies in like the printing.
One of the famous examples is of Kodak. Some printers would print the yellow a little darker, some would print it a little brighter. When the customers saw those side by side on the shelf, they'd often go for the brighter box, thinking that that film was fresher.
So that was like a perfect example of like why they needed a sort of a way to talk about color in like a industrial
consistent way.
And Pantone invented that. They were kind of the first to the game of doing that. It blew my mind. It makes me think about like how inventing a language,
a whole vocabulary
that could be
it.
A business. And I'm starting to think like what other industries or businesses have invented their own language.
Makes me think of Crayola crayons, but I guess that's like very similar with the colors
because of what, like how like the dandelion.
Dandelion. Like, maybe they took a note from Pantone.
Yeah, maybe that's. I actually would be interested to hear how they figured out the names for Crayola crayons. That would be cool to dive into.
I'm gonna watch it.
I was thinking that maybe in the internet space, like creator space, we've kind of developed a language of like vibe or trend or a meme. Like
in our last episode I talked about beastification and you had never heard it.
Exactly. There's sort of like these terms that come up, but also like a tone. Like TV feels different than the internet. Like why does it feel like that? Because there's sort of a language of how things are made, how things are presented, how things are created. Like and that's like,
and they bleed into each other a little bit.
And it's less of a tangible thing. Like Pantone is literally like they were like, we're assigning like names and numbers to each thing. Like that's like very specific. But I think like as an idea, it's interesting to think like, how do we use language in like a business sense? Like I don't know.
Maybe like how does language influence art? I don't know. I think language is something we take for granted too. Because I had no idea. I was like, oh yeah, of course they decided like what shade of yellow will be dandelion or something.
That's it.
But someone had to sit down and really brainstorm. I'm sure they had a lot of meetings.
It really shows the importance of good communication. That's what it comes down to, I think. And I was very inspired by that, and it's a video I've watched 2 times already. It's
2 times in a row.
It's great. It's a long video, but it's really, really, really well made.
Can't wait. So my next gem I'm very excited about. It's called A Year in Drawings, and it's a pop-up newsletter by our very own Chris Schwar, who's behind the camera.
Wow.
Yeah,
Chris.
It's awesome. Chris is an illustrator, and he draws on calendar cards each day, and he's going to be publishing 5 days a week, only for a year. Whoa. And after that, everything will be archived.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
This is one of the most unique newsletter formats I've ever seen.
So how did you find out about this?
I work with Chris in person, and he told me about it. But also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 2 years ago, he was sharing them to Instagram. So he also uses Instagram in a really interesting way where like he will be sharing his most recent like artistic project.
That's an incredible concept for an art practice to do every day.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest takeaway is just like I want to ask him how is he able to stay consistent, because calendar like day to day you gotta fill out every day, otherwise the project is
so it's literally drawing on like a calendar,
on like a physical calendar card, and his scans are awesome. You can see like the little wrinkles in the paper, and he only uses like a gel pen and like crayons to color in, so they're very minimal, but like the highlights in the hair and like the folds in the clothing are crazy.
What are some of the subjects? Like what are some things that like you liked the look of? Like,
I really liked his, well, also it's cool knowing the person personally, because like he'll mention something in passing and then it'll make it onto the calendar card, like an interview with someone, or like he just did a video that's another bonus gem about the paintings that he made for Van Neistat, and like he had like portrait with Van Neistat
that's cool.
On one of the calendar cards.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, you gotta check it out.
And it's a pop-up newsletter.
Yeah, which also that term I had never heard of. I think he mentioned that he grabbed it from another artist who was doing a similar idea, but that person and I asked him this, I was like, will your newsletter really disappear after the end of the year? And he's like, no, it'll just be archived. But this author that he borrowed it from is just gonna fully get rid of everything that he posted after the year's up.
I think that is tapping into an anxiety that a lot of people have with starting a newsletter, because I think when you start a newsletter, you're like, I'm starting a newsletter. This is it. Like, this is my big thing. But I think going into it and being like, this is just a pop-up guy. Like, don't worry about it. Like, don't get too excited. Like, it'll be here for a while and then it might go away. Like, that kind of takes the weight off of a creator to
That's
like.
a great point. Because this podcast actually took the name from my personal newsletter, Gems of the Internet, which I ended because it felt like I don't know, it was too much work to keep up, and I thought that video might serve a better purpose too. Like, I don't know, the written aspect of it was fun, but I think having a 2-person conversation leads to like a lot more, I don't know, kind of feels like improv, and there's unexpected things that happen.
Yeah. Cool. And there's more of a reaction. It's like you'll show me something and then I'll like look at it.
Yeah. And I get the validation.
Cool. Very cool. Those are all of the gems we have for you guys this week. Everything will be available in the description as a hyperlink. And look out for a 7th gem. It's a mystery link. We don't even know what it is yet. Check it out because it's going to be cool.
If you have a gem you think we'd like, leave a comment and maybe we'll feature it in a future episode.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.